Hey y'all, welcome to True Crime Talk. I'm Kathleen, and I'm here today doing this video to talk about, of course, the case that has been in the news all over the place for a little over a week now, the Nancy Guthrie case. And of course, like everybody, I have opinions on it, and so this video is just going to be my opinions. And like I've said many times, my opinions mean nothing. But it's just so frustrating. Keep seeing all these news reports talking about just, ransom notes and just all kinds of stuff. But really, if you just go back to the beginning of this case, to the beginning of how she ended up disappearing and what happened on Sunday, it's really very clear to see, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, that this is more family related and nothing to do with international kidnappers or anything like that. I think the ransom notes are simply just scammers from like Nigeria or some other country where they do, those countries that are known for doing the romance scams and getting thousands and thousands of dollars out of people doing romance scams against them. I don't think the ransom note people are in the United States. I think they're overseas possibly, but I could be wrong about that. The ransom notes could be being done by people in the US. I know one of them was done by a person in the US in California and he was arrested. But I think the ones that they've made videos to respond to for, I think those are from overseas scammers. And I don't think they have Nancy or anything to do with Nancy or anything like that. They just saw an opportunity. Some scammers are very, very good. I mean, it's a whole industry and business in a lot of countries, especially countries like Nigeria and stuff. So I don't believe the ransom notes for 1 second. I don't think they have anything to do with Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. I think it all goes back to the family. And of course, not Savannah, because she lived in another state, but the family that lived there in the same state, and apparently just 10 minutes down the road from Miss Nancy Guthrie. I think it's going to be closer to home. The suspects are going to be closer to home. And in my opinion, it would make sense for the last people to have spent time with her on the day before she disappeared, and the people who know her home and who would have a motive to harm her for some reason. It makes total sense that they should be looked at and looked at hard as suspects. But the police won't say they're suspects. One, because they want to be able to investigate them while they don't think they are suspects, to get more information out of them, and also to watch them, surveil them, and see if they do or say anything incriminating. But also because it does involve a prominent family, a wealthy family, and a famous family, at least for Savannah. They probably don't want to go ahead and say, yes, somebody in the family's a suspect. If this wasn't a well-known family and this case wasn't so big, the sheriff might have just come out and said, yes, we're looking at some family members or something as suspects. But now that the FBI has taken over this case, presumably, they never really say anything or give press conferences. They keep everything under wraps while they're investigating. They're known for being, very untalkative about cases that they're currently working on. So here's my opinion on what I think happened. And one day we'll know. This case will be solved, whether it's tomorrow, in a few days, a few weeks, couple of months. I believe this case will be solved and she will be found, but not alive. And so I'll give my thoughts on it, because this is True Crime Talk. It's just where we talk about crime. No harm is meant to anybody. It's just my opinion. And some questions I have about the son-in-law. To my understanding, he's a teacher, which means he teaches students. He has students somewhere at a school that he teaches. He is the husband of the daughter of Nancy Guthrie. He is the father of at least one grandchild of Nancy Guthrie, to my understanding. So he's a father of Nancy Guthrie's grandchild. She is her daughter's husband. He's a teacher. Apparently, he used to be in a band at one point, so we know he's not necessarily shy, and he's a teacher, so we know he gets up in front of a class and he's not shy. And his name was put out there in the media as a potential suspect. Now, don't you think if the media or the internet, not the mainstream media, but the internet world was looking at you as a suspect, like I am looking at him now as a suspect, wouldn't you want to go online, no matter how private you are or how shy you are, to proclaim your innocence and like make a video or write a post saying, "Hey y'all, my mother-in-law is missing. Please help find her. I know they've put me out there as a suspect, but I can assure you I had nothing to do with it. I love my mother-in-law. She's the grandmother of my child. She's my wife's mother. I had absolutely nothing to do with her disappearance or what happened to her in her home that night." That just seems logical to me. I don't care how private a person you are or how shy you are. And there's no reason he can't do that. There's no reason he can't speak up or do an interview or anything that he wants to do. Law enforcement can't keep him from that. The FBI can't make him not do that. He is a free person with all the free speech rights that we're all supposed to have. He can get out there and say whatever he wants to say. And so if somebody is accusing you of something you did not do, especially of this magnitude, would you not in some way or another, or like get a lawyer and have your lawyer release a statement saying you had nothing at all to do with this and that you hope she's found and found soon? That is so suspicious to me. So I don't care how private you are, how shy you are, why not speak up and say, I did not have anything to do with my mother-in-law's disappearance? That is just so weird to me. It makes him look, if you're a school teacher, wouldn't you want the students who you teach to know that you're not a murderer or a kidnapper or whatever? So wouldn't you somehow make a post or whatever? You wouldn't go totally silent? To my understanding, he had social media before this happened, but he doesn't now. I'm not sure about all that. But if you had social media before, why not use that social media to let everybody know you're innocent? So I don't think this case has anything to do with ransom or kidnapping or, kidnapping for crypto or cash or whatever. This is just a simple, basic, in my opinion, family murder where family members murdered other family members over money or revenge, anger about money. I think it has to do with money, inheritance. They had a fight. Maybe they wanted to borrow some money. She wouldn't loan it to him, and he lost his temper and did something to her. Maybe it was planned. They thought, or he thought, I say they because he's married, and it just seems very unlikely to me that if he was involved, that his wife wouldn't also be involved or know something about it because they lived in the same home. And if he's mad about money or worried about money, then she would be too because they're married. So it could have been a more planned thing and it went wrong. Like maybe the son-in-law, possibly, in my opinion, could have broke into the home to do something to her to make it look she died of natural causes. It didn't go as planned, and things got messed up, and people found out that she was missing before he thought that they would find out she was missing, so he ran out of time. But I don't think this was a kidnapping. I think it was just a straight up murder. And it's going to be either because he was mad about money or he was mad about something else. Him and the daughter. And of course, all we can assume is about money, because what other thing could make family members so mad to kill a relative? It's usually about money. when it involves kids and parents about money or revenge. Maybe it's both. So either it was over inheritance, like they didn't want to borrow money from her, but they just got tired of waiting on her to pass on. So the son in law did something to her, thinking that he could inherit the money, but he ended up having to take her body away because the body showed evidence of murder because it didn't go as planned. Like maybe he thought he could do something to her where it looked like a natural death. She woke up, she fought back a little bit, things went all haywire, and so he had to ended up changing his plans, in my opinion, of course. These are all my own opinions. I know nothing. I have no sources in law enforcement like apparently Ashley Banfield does. And I don't know a lot about Ashley Banfield, but when she says that she has a source in law enforcement that says that they're looking at the son in law, I believe her. And I believe that the source who she speaks to is telling her the truth also, that the son in law is being looked at or was being looked at very heavily. And I think all this ransom stuff is just to keep the public's attention away from what's really going on, which is the investigation of some family members. I don't know how many, but I think definitely the son in law is going to be one of them, and probably his wife because they're married and they live in the same house. So if he's mad at mama in law about something, she's probably going to be mad at her mama for something. To me, it's just a very basic case. It's not very mysterious at all to me. And the reason I wanted to come on here and talk about this current case, because usually I'm looking into researching old cases that will probably never be solved, so I'll never know if I'm right about it or not. So I'm just on here giving my opinion, so one day if this case is solved, I'll know if I'm right or if I was very, very wrong. And I hope I am wrong because I hope she's actually alive, because wouldn't that be a great story for all of us, for her to appear alive and be back with her family? That would be a wonderful story that, the whole world needs. But I don't think that's going to be what happens at all. I think this is just a basic family murder case where family members get mad at another family member, usually involving money and stuff like that. And they got in a fight and they killed her. But it seems to me like it's more planned because it happened in the middle of the night when her pacemaker stopped communicating with her smartwatch or phone or whatever. So I'm thinking that she was intentionally did away with. I just don't think it went like they planned it at all. I think things went haywire. Maybe she woke up, she fought with them. So I think maybe possibly the son-in-law, who I think probably did something to her, went into the home that night to do something to her to make it look like she had died of natural causes. And then it went crazy. So he ended up having to remove her body from the scene. Or he's just so angry, he just killed her and then hauled her body off. But if it's to do with money or inheritance, I think you would want the body to be found, because I'm not sure how it goes, inheritance in different states, whatever. I think to get your inheritance in a quick manner, wouldn't you need a body? Okay, mom-in-law is dead. How long we got to wait for the inheritance? Maybe it looked like she died of natural causes, or some random killer came in the house and did something to her. But maybe it all went crazy, and maybe they're going to stage it like a robbery, a burglary, and she woke up and it just all went to heck. Savannah's made the statements that her mother is a feisty woman, so she probably did try to fight best she could for being an 84-year-old woman. I think she's like 5'5", 150 pounds. So anyway, that's my opinion. What's your opinion? And don't tell me, oh, I'm cruel for accusing this man of something that he didn't do, or that I don't know he did. No, I don't know he did it. But I know it sure is weird if he didn't do it, why he ain't speaking up about it. He's a school teacher. He was in a band. He's the kind of person who likes some attention. If he had nothing to do with this, he'd be all over the internet or doing interviews trying to help find his mother-in-law. I just don't buy it that the family has nothing to do with her disappearance. I think it's just a regular old family dispute that turned into a family murder. And if it didn't involve Savannah Guthrie, I don't think it would get all this attention. Obviously, if it didn't involve a woman who seemed, to have money herself, if she wasn't a rich woman herself, I don't think it would get the media attention. But when she's a rich woman and she happens to have a famous daughter who's even richer, I guess, and so we have all this media hoopla. But I think it's just a basic family murder situation. And I hope they solve it soon. One, if I'm wrong and she's alive somewhere and they bring her back, that'll be terrific. Or two, that they'll get justice for whoever did this to her, even if she's deceased. And three, I just want to know if I'm right, if my way of thinking and trying to figure out crimes in my mind, if I'm right. Because there's a lot of reasons why I think the son-in-law has something to do with it. I won't go into all of it here. You've probably already heard it on all the news shows, TV, or YouTube videos and stuff. But there's a lot of reasons why I think the son-in-law and possibly the daughter are involved. Now, could it be a conspiracy between the son-in-law and somebody else, a third party? I thought about that too, but I'm thinking it's just going to be the son-in-law and the daughter because somebody would have probably talked by now if they had involved other people in a conspiracy.